pens down, hands off the keyboard. It's time to listen up. So in this week's episode, I wanted to discuss motivation because it's quite an elusive thing that we don't always find ourselves in possession with, but we like to think that we do and that we will always have it. And it's very easy to take motivation for granted because it often comes on so strongly when we have a new idea or a new story come to us, or a scene or a character, or we feel inspired from reading someone else's work or listening to a podcast or something. And once we feel that motivation, we kind of figure it's gonna stick around, or inspiration, I should say. I kind of see them as this one and the same. But once we get inspired, we get a lot of motivation, we get a lot of energy to put into our work, and often we can go. We can type away, we can write what we think is a novel, but actually ends up being 1,000 words before we feel a little tired, a little burnt out. We don't really know where to go next. We don't know the character's obstacles. We don't know anything about the protagonist. We don't know anything about the antagonist. We don't know anything about what's going to happen throughout the novel. We don't know what the conflicts are. We don't know how it's going to end. We don't know the goals. We don't know anything. And the inspiration and the motivation kind of run out and we've got nothing left. And then we kind of see it as a bad thing and we stop writing and we get upset, usually. It is an upsetting time. I also get upset when my motivation runs out. I'm like, damn it. But it's the thing that happens. It's very, very normal. I feel it. I find it very hard to write sometimes, very hard to get ideas, very hard to kind of just motivate myself to sit down in front of the computer and write. Because you're coming up with ideas from thin air. You're not taking something that's already in existence and going from there. You're taking something that doesn't even exist yet and you are creating it and you're making it realistic and you're creating it to expectations of other people and to yourself and all these things, and it's a lot. So there are some techniques and ways to help us writers out when we kind of feel that inspiration slowing down and that motivation kind of escaping us. One of my favorite things when my motivation is low, and the advice that I give out, which I think should be used sparingly, is take a break. Because sometimes we lose motivation because we're tired. Sometimes we just don't have the energy. We might not have slept well. We might have forgotten to eat. We might not have been outside in the past 5 months. Unsure, but sometimes your brain's just had it. Your body's had it. It's like, stop sitting in front of this desk. Stop coming up with ideas that don't exist yet and just rest. Because if you're anything like I was when I started writing, I would go to bed thinking about what I wanted to write. I would dream about what I wanted to write. I would get up in the morning and be excited to write. And that's exhausting. After a while, my brain was like, no, thank you. You can stop that now. And my longest break, I would say, has been 3 years. And I came back stronger and more enthusiastic to write when I did that. But everybody's different. You don't have to take a 3-year break. You can take a 10-minute break. You can go outside. You can have a glass of water. You can do a couple star jumps, or you could extend it. And you could go out for lunch. You could go meet a family member, go out with friends. You could try a new hobby. You could take the weekend off. You could go away somewhere and not write. Even it's so hard to take a break from writing because you train yourself to think about it all the time. When you're excited about it, you let yourself think about it all the time. So once you do build that up, build up the writing muscle, you build up the enthusiasm for it, you build up that motivation back. If you've lost it and you bring it back, you kind of expect to think about writing 24/7, and that's just going to keep burning you out. So my next point in motivation is having a writing routine. And this doesn't have to be a routine for the day or the week, just in the moments you want to write. What do you do to get yourself into writing mode, and what do you do to get yourself out of writing mode? For example, I generally write in the mornings. I'll wake up, I'll make myself a cup of coffee. The smell of coffee, I'm like, I need to write. And I will sit down and I will write. And then to come out of writing, if I'm at home, I'll usually go have a shower, get dressed, get ready for the day, get presentable, be like, okay, writing is done, moving on with the rest of the day. That's how I shift in and out of it. But you can do your own thing. You can go for a walk, sit down to write. Once you finish writing, you can twirl around 3 times and get your brain used to what you do before you get into writing so that your brain's like, okay, gotta start chugging away at the ideas now. And then the signal to your brain to say, okay, stop those ideas. And it's very hard to begin with. When I started up a writing routine, it was so hard to stop thinking about writing. And I really just had to be like, no. And I would have so many ideas come to me, usually when I was about to fall asleep, that I would want to write down, that I would want to grab my laptop out and just start typing away. But I told myself, no, I can only have these thoughts during a certain time of day. Otherwise, I don't accept them. And at first I was so sad because those thoughts would come and they would go. And I was like, oh, no, I'm ruining my writing life. But after a while, my brain has started to get used to it. And I will sit down, cup of coffee, boom, all the ideas start. Not every day, but I would say most days it kind of helps and it just gets into that routine. I know what websites I'm going on. I know what kind of genre I'm writing. I know kind of what I'm doing. And then once I'm done, get up, go have a shower, and my brain stops. And I can be present mostly as much as anyone can, I think. And I go about my day. And that's one thing I do to help with that motivation. Other things that you can do if you've been sitting down at your desk, you have that routine, you've taken a little break, you've gone for a walk, and you're like, now what? I still have nothing. You can, there's a technique that I don't like, but you essentially write down anything that you want for a certain amount of time. So you set a timer for, let's say, 5 minutes, and you don't stop writing. You don't remove your fingers off the keyboard. And if you don't know what to write, you just write, I don't know what to write, over and over and over again until something comes to you, which it will. And if not, at least you have a word count. Terrible word count, but you have a word count. I don't like it because I don't like writing rubbish for the sake of writing rubbish, especially if you're in the middle of a manuscript. But I do like the timing aspect of it. I do like to set the timer and be like, okay, I don't want to be here right now. I don't want to be in front of my laptop. This is the last thing I feel like doing. I do not want to type a single word, but I'm going to force myself to be here for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I can get up and leave. And then usually, because I know it's going to be a short amount of time, I'm not going to be exerting as much energy as I thought I would. It doesn't always work depending on the day and how you're feeling, but generally, I'll come up with at least a sentence or two. And that's so much better than not sitting down and not writing like I had originally wanted to do. Another thing to do is reading other people's work. So picking up a novel if you're working on your own novel, giving it a read, something that you like, something that you don't like. I actually find books that I don't like to be more inspirational than books I like. Because if I like them, I'm like, I could never write like this. And then I get really demotivated. But if it's a book I don't like, I can kind of be like, you know what? I could do this. And that builds a bit of motivation in me. So that's something you could try. If you're blogging, reading other people's blog posts and just seeing what they're writing about on that day and see if it sparks any kind of inspiration. Reading things on Reddit, in the news, reading journals, magazine articles. Read anything. Read signposts. Read an instruction manual. I can't see how that would be inspirational, but it might be. You never know. Just read anything. And if there's nothing to read, write something to read. There you go. That will motivate you. You can read and see if that sparks any ideas. Especially if you're blogging, you can kind of bounce off other people, which is something I love about blogging, is you can see what they've written and then you could write like a counter article to that or like from a different perspective. And it's kind of like you're having a conversation or your characters are having a conversation in a way. I find that to be quite fun. Sometimes there'll be prompts out there. That's another thing. Read a prompt, Google a prompt, go on blogging websites, find prompts, find a prompt book. I'm sure someone's written a prompt book. Find something to read to see if it will spark your inspiration. Another tip that people say is go outside. I know Stephen King often says he goes for a walk and that's where he finds inspiration. That's really important because you should be going outside. You do need to have some fresh air and some sunlight. It's very healthy for you. It's very good for you. If you've been inside for at least an hour, I would recommend go outside for a 10-minute walk. 5 minutes. Just open the door and look at the sky, just so you know what the weather's like, and then maybe write something about the weather. Write in a journal. It doesn't matter. If you're in the middle of a manuscript and you're like, I can't think of anything to do with this manuscript, write something not to do with the manuscript. You're still practicing your craft. And then you can come back the next day, hopefully have some inspiration, and your writing muscle will be worked a little bit more. Win-win. But definitely go out for a walk, see the world, see people, say hi to someone on the street. You might see someone dressed really funny that might inspire you, and I mean funny as in just unexpected. That could inspire you. You could see a really pretty bird, and that could inspire you. You could have a conversation with a stranger, and that might inspire you. You could smell delicious coffee as you walk past a cafe, and that might inspire you. I do like coffee, as you have probably figured out. Go buy yourself a pastry at the local bakery and see what the vibes are like. See what it feels like to step outside. See what it feels like to stand on 2 feet instead of sitting down. How does it feel to stare at something that's not a screen? It's crazy. How does it feel not to be reading something? Because I'm sure you're rereading the work that you're writing, or you're reading to gain inspiration. How does it feel not to read? It's wild. Going outside is one of the most wildest things that you can do as a writer. It's really crazy, but things happen outside. Sometimes more exciting than what happens in fiction. I know that's a bold claim, but I think it's true. Motivation is a really hard one to kind of work with because there are so many different things involved with it. You could be unmotivated because you're stuck in a scenario. You could be unmotivated because you're just exhausted. You could be unmotivated because of life stresses. You could be unmotivated because you forgot your why. Knowing your why you are writing, why you're doing this, what you want out of it, I think is really important. If ever I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this, I'm not enjoying this, I don't like it, then I think, okay, why am I doing it? Because I don't have to. No one's forcing me to do this. Is it because I genuinely am not enjoying it? No. Usually I need a break. When I say I don't like this, I'm not having fun, I need a little break. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, a day, couple days. If I need a break, I need a break. But sometimes I'll be going, I don't know why I'm doing this. It's so stressful. It's so hard. And then I go, okay, why am I doing this? Okay, I'm doing this because I love writing. I love the community. And honestly, if I can earn a bit of money from this, I would love to have the freedom of doing this full time. I'm like, okay, how am I going to get there? Okay, I want to have the freedom and the community and I want to enjoy writing. Am I getting that now? I'm not getting the freedom, but that's okay. That's expected. I am getting the community, which I'm very grateful for. But in that moment, not enjoying it. So, okay, what do we need to do to change it? Do I need to write something else? Do I need to write in a different genre? Or generally, as I said, my favorite technique, I'll take a break. Not forever. Usually when I feel like that, it's a day. I might need to do a bit of exercise. I might need to eat a meal. I might need to talk to a friend. Just do something a little bit different, something that can bring a lot of joy. Because sometimes when you do something that's just the same over and over and over again, it just gets monotonous and tiring and not so fun. So change it up. Go do something else, because sometimes that's all we need. Going back to writing routines, I hated the idea of having a writing routine, but I have actually found it to be the most beneficial. And it's gotten to the point now where I don't necessarily have a specific time of day that I will write, but I will have the specific things. Like I said, the coffee, shower afterwards generally, because I like to write in the morning when my brain is on fire. But I will do the order of things in a routine fashion. Usually I will have a look at the social medias, check on comments or any conversations or kind of any interactions people have been having. I will interact back. That's what I always do first. That is priority. Next, I'll generally write. I might write a blog post. Generally, that's usually the first thing I do. Go on Medium, write a blog post. Then I'll read different articles, usually on Medium. I will often go on Reddit and I will read and comment on posts. And then if I need to make social media posts, I will do that next. Then I will write the big project that I'm working on, which will be generally a novel. That's pretty big. I will work on that. And then once I've done that, move on to podcasting. And that's kind of the routine. It's not always the same. And I always check out my website as well. And I always make sure that I edit it and keep it up to date. As you can tell from what I've said, sometimes I forget. That is the last priority because often I don't need to do anything with the website. So it's easily forgettable. But I don't forget about it. Sometimes I'm a little bit late on sending out my monthly emails. But if you want to join up to a monthly email that is sometimes a little bit late rather than always on the first of the month, then sign up to my mailing list on my website, Skelton-Price.com. And you can help motivate me because the more people that sign up to it, the more motivated I'm going to be because the more people I need to make sure are happy. So if you want to motivate me, go sign up to my email list. Speaking of which, you can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, here, Spotify, I think here YouTube, here wherever this is, here Facebook, here there's a thing called Contra that I've recently signed up to. Do not follow me on Substack because I can't figure out how to use it. So, I mean, you can follow me on Substack, but I probably won't interact with you there because I don't know how to use it. And then also medium.com. That's probably where I'm most active. Also LinkedIn. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm everywhere, trying to be. I'm a little tired, but that's okay. I drink a lot of coffee. It's absolutely fine. But motivation, honestly, lots of coffee, lots of food, having a treat that you won't allow yourself to have until you've finished doing what you need to do. You could say, I want to write 200 words and then I get to eat my favorite fruit. It can be as simple as that. It can be really complicated, but generally complicated stuff doesn't work, especially when you're using so much brain power to create things that didn't exist prior. Because that is a lot of brain power. I often find once I've finished a day's work of writing, I can't spell. Sometimes I can't talk because I've been putting so much energy into words that my brain just gets tired and it's like, no more words today. I can't do words. So I have forgotten how to spell and before because I was writing like maybe 2,000 words that day, which is crazy. And then I had nothing left to use. So I forgot how to spell. And if you have any motivation tips, you can leave those in the comments because I need a few more because my go-to is to take a break, which I feel like is good advice, but I also feel like that can lead to a lot of unproductiveness. So leave your motivation tips in the comments below so that we can all learn from each other. Follow me on all the socials if you would like to, and you can now lift up those pens and put those fingers back on the keyboard because I will talk to you next week.